don't know about you, but I absolutely love Advent. I love the sense of anticipation of Christmas, the knowledge that you're going to have a bit of time off, that you're going to have a bit of time with family, that there's going to be warm fires and laughing and a beautiful meal. And yeah, these things really excite me and I really look forward to it. I really appreciate and enjoy anticipation. I think my favourite day of the week is probably a Friday, and that's because I know that the weekend's coming. I sort of feel a bit of pressure on the Saturday to really enjoy myself, but the Friday, I know that I've got the hope of the weekend ahead, and so I think I prefer Friday. I think I prefer Christmas Eve, maybe even than Christmas Day, because again, you know, you've got the expectation and the excitement of Christmas Day to come. My favourite season is spring rather than summer, but mainly because I love summer, but I know in spring that I've got the whole of the summer to come. I feel like that's a little bit the case with Advent as well. It's that calm before the storm, maybe, the sort of getting prepared, the excitement ahead. So yeah, it's a really special time. And today, as we think and dwell a little bit on Advent, I want us to think a little bit about that sense of anticipation. But more than that, what do we do with the wait? So I want us to think about the waiting that we do in life and how do we deal with waiting? Why do we deal with waiting? Why is waiting good for us? And God has woven it into the rich tapestry of life as something that is good for us. It's a rhythm of the year that when we get to Advent, we're looking forward, we're preparing for something. And during that time, we can really kind of take stock of a few things. And so that's what I'm going to hope that we're going to do today. Now, I'm also in the process of making an apple pie, so I'm kind of doing two things at once. But that could be fun. So as I make my apple pie, I'm just going to mull over a few ideas and have a little think about waiting during Advent. So I loved Debs' talk about Mary last week, and I want to think a little bit about Mary and what she does with her wait. So I just wanted to take you back to a little bit about what Debs was saying last week. Imagine this 16-year-old girl. She gets this vision and God says to her, or an angel says to her, "You're going to give birth to a son." She says, "How is that possible? I'm a virgin." And God says, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you." And imagine from that point, Mary, like Deb said last week, she probably hadn't had her periods for very long. At that age, her periods are probably not very consistent. And so how did Mary know that she was pregnant? She couldn't have taken a pregnancy test. They didn't exist in those days. So she wouldn't have known. She wouldn't have known for certain whether or not she had imagined that, or whether or not she had, whether or not it wasn't going to come true. She would, after maybe a month, she might realise that she's not had a period, but that might not be uncommon for her. She might still not know. And so thinking about it, when would she actually know for certain that she was pregnant and this was going to come to pass? This was going to be true. There must have been times in the night where Mary was lying awake thinking, did I make the whole thing up? Was I imagining this? And Mary just has to wait. She has to wait and she has to trust and she has to believe. But if you read Luke's Gospel, there's this amazing passage in it where Mary sings this song to God where she just praises God and thanks God. So when I ask the question, what do we do with our wait? when we've got to wait for something, how do we respond to that? How do we deal with that? If we look at Mary, Mary dealt with her wait in the most beautiful way. She spent her time praising God, focusing on God. Is that something that we can do with our wait? I don't think I'm going to bother to blind bake this. Sorry if you're a purist. So as I've been thinking about waiting, I've been thinking, in what circumstances do I wait? And you know what? I really think that perhaps it's becoming a bit of a lost art. If I want something, I can buy it, and I can sometimes even get it delivered the same day. I don't have to wait anymore. I remember when I was a kid, probably about 10, I really wanted a Game Boy. Oh my goodness, I was so obsessed. Every penny that I got, pocket money, whatever, I used to do chores around the house. I used to do loads of stuff just to try and get. I actually used to bag up conkers and sell them at school because we had a big conker tree in the garden. I used to save up all my money, and I really, really wanted to buy a Game Boy. And I remember so clearly the day when I'd actually saved up enough, and we went to Macro, which is like the up north old-fashioned equivalent of Costco, because I'd done research and I'd found out that they had them cheap in Macro, so I'd asked around. Obviously no internet at that point, shows my age. But yeah, I was so excited, and I remember so clearly the feeling of having to wait months and months and months for that Game Boy. Buying it, I had Tetris with it. I could only afford one game, so I just had Tetris. I can remember the feeling of buying it, handing over that money, and I remember the excitement of opening the box and playing my Game Boy for the first time. You know what? That was special. That was beautiful. And when I think now, I think, do I do that? If I want something, I just buy it. I don't even wait for don't wait to save up. I don't wait for it to come on sale. I just go out and buy it. And I just don't know if that's good for me. I don't know whether or not maybe I'm losing the art of waiting. I'm losing my ability to be patient. And I think I see that in society. I see that, people who get road rage. I don't actually particularly get rage. Sometimes I get angry, but I'm not sort of a screamer or shouter with road rage. But some people, they just cannot wait. They can't wait at traffic lights. They can't wait. They cut people up because they can't wait for 1 minute in order to, to let someone past. Some people just cannot wait, or they're rude or obnoxious in a supermarket or in a shop because they're having to wait in a queue. Or you see the people, and I'm guilty of this, where I'm in a supermarket queue, I'm looking at all the queues, I'm just doing this sort of assessment of which one is going to be the quickest, because I couldn't possibly spend 30 seconds longer in a queue to buy food that's going to last me for 2 weeks. Could possibly wait 30 seconds longer to pay. Surely not. I've got to go for the quickest queue. I'm sort of doing that equation of number of people times size of the trolley. And I mean, how ridiculous. We're losing the art of waiting. There was a really, really famous experiment. Some of you might have heard of it, called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. And this is where a child was given a marshmallow and promised if they didn't eat it, they could have 2 marshmallows later. And actually in the experiment, the scientist goes out of the room for 15 minutes and then comes back in. If the child hasn't eaten the marshmallow, then that child gets 2 marshmallows. So I tried this with my boys. I thought, let's see what happens. Now, just to say, they're 1 and 3. I didn't wait 15 minutes. It was a little bit too long. I waited until the moment I heard a cry, I went back in. But anyway, have a look, see what happened with the boys as they did the Stanford marshmallow experiment. Right, boys, I've got a challenge for you. Okay. So, I'm going to give you one jelly baby, okay?
Can I have a green one?
Yes, you can have a green one. What colour do you want? Red. Okay. So, I'm going to give you a jelly baby. Now, you mustn't eat it yet, okay? If you cannot eat it, Mummy's just going to go outside, okay? When Mummy comes back in, if you haven't eaten it, you get 2 jelly babies.
Okay, 2.
Okay, but you have to not eat it until Mummy comes back. Okay, so Jack, there's your jelly baby. Micah, don't eat it yet. If you can wait, then you get 2. So you get 2 if you can wait. Good luck.
No.
Let's just pick that up. You leave Micah to it, Jack. You concentrate on your jelly baby. No, leave Micah.
He's got to eat it.
Okay, doesn't matter.
I've got a green one. Mike, where's his head gone? No way. No, thank you. No, thank you. This is not good work. This is not good work. That's not gonna crack. That's not gonna crack. That's not gonna crack. Let's not get a crack. Not get a crack. Let's not get a crack. Let's not get a crack. No, let's not get a crack. Let's not get a crack. Let's no. Thank you.
How did we do, boys? Have you eaten yours?
No.
Let me see. Well done, Jack. You did you? Do you want another green one? Well done, you waited. Unfortunately, you didn't wait, so you don't get one. Uh-oh. Should we give him one anyway? Give you one anyway. Thank you. Mwah. Well done. Thank you. Good try. Better luck next time, Micah. Okay, let's get this bad boy in the oven. So now, I just have to wait. So, we just saw the little clip of the Stanford marshmallow experiment, and it shows the idea of delayed gratification. Can I just say, I was really proud of Jack. It went in, didn't it? But it came out again. He knew that he was going to get a reward if he managed to not do it, and I was really proud of him to see that he didn't. Obviously, Micah, not so much. But I think that's quite a good little picture of our faith. And if we can, show self-control, show patience, then actually it shows a little bit of maturity in our faith. It talks in Galatians 5 about the fruits of the Spirit, and to be honest, it sort of gets mentioned twice, because it gets mentioned with patience and self-control, and I think both of those fit into this little scenario of actually our wait. And sometimes it's a matter of making ourselves wait, or delaying that gratification for later. And actually that can be really, really valuable and really, really important for us. I was having a really interesting conversation with Deb a little while ago, and she said, we were talking about this idea of waiting and that sort of pause. And she was saying, as someone who is really creative, actually that is woven into their life, because it takes time to do things. Just like it's taking time in the oven to bake this apple pie, there is a wait. I've got to sit with the wait. I can't take this out now and eat it. It won't be ready. And so I've got to wait for it to be ready. And actually, when you create something or make something, it takes us back to that idea of actually patience. Sometimes we don't get things instantly. We've got to wait, and we've got to enjoy that wait. And so sometimes, let's just face it, sometimes waiting can be hard, really, really hard. And there are some situations where people are facing disappointments or bereavement, and they feel like, God, I have been waiting so long for you to step in here, so long for you to change the situation, or God, I've been waiting so long for you to break through. And yeah, sometimes we have to wait, and sometimes God's timing doesn't fit in with our timing. And you know what? That's a whole world of stuff which is big and complicated and difficult, and every situation is different. And yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily quite talking about that right now. I think I'm talking about those maybe smaller situations where sometimes if we rush in, it's not always the right thing for us. And actually, we might need to exert and show some self-control. So sometimes our wait is about submission and actually surrendering control to God. Sometimes our wait is about rejecting indulgence and actually just saying, I don't need that right now. Sometimes it's about like experiencing the satisfaction that you get from waiting for something and then enjoying it, like my Game Boy. And I don't want this to sound like a self-help talk, because it's absolutely not. This is all about Jesus and all about how God can speak into our lives. And like I said, patience is a biblical concept, and waiting is a biblical concept. And there's so many stories in the Bible where people had to wait, and it just comes across in a sentence. Sarah had to wait 7 years for this to happen, or Joseph was in prison for 7 years. But you know, you say it in a sentence, but living those 7 years in prison for a crime that you didn't commit, that's hard. And actually, there are so many stories in the Bible where the people of God have shown great patience. And I think as a nation, as a culture, we are in danger of losing our ability to be patient and to wait. So I think, coming back to my point, Advent is this beautiful time of the waiting. And what do we do while we wait? The anticipation of what is to come, the anticipation of the birth of Jesus, the light of the world coming into our world, changing our world forever. And we get this 25 days to build up to that moment. And we get these 25 days to think and dwell on maybe the past and show gratitude for things that we've had, and hope for the future, the hope of the sunrise after the dark night. And so I do think that the waiting is beautiful. And actually, if we can embrace the waiting, then that is going to be a beautiful thing. So my challenge to you today is, what do we do while we're waiting? What do we do during Advent that can help us build towards the anticipation of Jesus' birth? What can we do in our lives to build these spiritual gifts of patience and self-control? Maybe I'm totally off the beaten track here. Maybe you think actually it is fine to totally we don't have to wait for anything. Why should we wait for anything? Maybe you think it's unnecessary to wait for things. So yeah, just have a mull. I'm still waiting on this pie. Let's see. Yeah, needs a little bit longer. Still not ready. Ready? Looks all right. Now I've got to wait for it to cool.